Hey everybody, welcome back to the Balanced Vibes podcast. Thank you so much for being here. It is getting cold here. As you can see, I have my warm clothes on, I have my beanie on. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have my cup of tea here, but I'm really happy that you're here so we get to spend the next 20 or so minutes together. So today we're talking about two things. The big topic is going to be a healthy body weight change, but we're going to talk about two things here. Number one, what is the first thing that you have to do if your goal is to change your body in a healthy way? Whether it means for you gaining weight or whether it means for you losing weight or changing the body composition, putting on muscle, losing fat, any of that. So what is the number one thing that is really helpful to do if we want to do everything right? And then the second part of the podcast is where I'm going to tell you what do those words that you hear often when we talk about dieting or a healthy body weight change, words like BMI, BMR, TDEE, maintenance, surplus, what do those things actually mean? Because you may have seen them, thrown around like, okay, yeah, here's my BMR and this is your TDEE. And you're like, what does all that mean? And I'm also going to share a couple of things about what we have to be aware of when we use these words. Let's get started. If you haven't grabbed my Fit Physique guide yet, then it's not too late. You can still get it. It is in the description of this show. It's also in my Instagram bio. So this guide will help you get started with protein. Protein is almost like that gateway macronutrient that really helps you to get healthier, helps you to get fitter, helps you to put on more muscle. And in this guide, I teach everything you need to know about protein, how much to eat it, how frequently to eat it, where to get it from, and so on and so on. And when you sign up for this, when you grab your download, then you will also be added to my emailing list, and you will be getting weekly tips and tools that help you to stay on track with your health goals and do it in a really healthy way, non-obsessive way. So I am never that coach who's going to put you on a super low calorie diet or starve you from your favorite things or tell you to do 18 workouts a week. This is not me, because if you have followed me for a little while, you know that I have been through a lot of it myself, and recovery from it took a long time. So my goal is to teach you to achieve your healthy body weight, body size, the body where you feel great, but you're also where your hormones function properly, and do it in a sustainable way, not heavily restrictive way, not like punishing way or anything like that. So if you would like to get started with all this, make sure that you have my Fit Physique guide. It is in the show notes, it is in the description, it's also on in my Instagram bio. But today, let's talk about one thing that you should be doing if you want to change your body. So I'm going to give you, or I'm going to start with a little story first. So yesterday, I had a call with a potential new client. And she said, yes, I would really like to lose a little bit of body fat. And I know that I'm totally able to do it without getting obsessed. I just want to feel better. But I have no idea where I am right now because I have never tracked anything. And this is the thing. So we really want to have a baseline understanding of where we are right now. So if you have absolutely no idea how much you're eating, how much protein you're getting, how many calories you're consuming, then you probably just keep doing the same things that you've been doing for a little while, eating a certain way, maybe exercising a certain way, but you're not seeing a change. And that's because you don't have the data, so you don't know which way to go. And so on this call yesterday, she asked me, do you think I might be eating too much? Or do you think I might be eating too little? Because that can also be sometimes the reason why the change is not happening. Or do you think I might be getting too low protein? And here's the thing, if we don't know, if we don't have any data, we have no awareness really of what we have been taking in, how much we've been eating, how many calories it has been, how much protein it has been, it's very hard to change anything. Because how would we know? It's almost like you have a destination in mind, you want to drive there, but you have never been there before, and you also don't have a map or an Apple map or Google map, whatever, and you're just hoping that I'll get there somehow. It's sort of the same thing. So what I recommend in this situation is for people to use a tracking app for a little while and see where they are at. So maybe 3-4 days is enough to kind of get an idea where they are, and then from there we can move in a certain direction. Because yes, there really are people who have been under eating, for example, and if they have been constantly eating around 1100 or 1200 calories and they continue to gain weight, then this is where we know what we have to do. And what we have to do is we have to repair the metabolism, heal the metabolism. So bring up the calories, gradually bring them up, and then stay there for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, sometimes even longer. Stay there and let the metabolism really heal. And then after that, we can start gradually creating a little bit of deficit, which then allows us to change the body composition, okay? Or maybe we find that we have been eating way more than our bodies actually need. And this is something that also one of my recent newer clients said, that I did not realize that I was eating way more than my maintenance level was, and that's why I wasn't able to lose anything, although I went to the gym and did 6 workouts every single week. Protein is another thing. A lot of women don't know that they are under eating protein, and I would say like probably about 90% of women, if they don't pay attention, if they don't track it, they are under eating protein. Again, reminding you, get my protein guide. It's going to be extremely helpful for you. But without any of this data, we don't know which way to go. And if a person doesn't have any idea where they're at, then we're still continuing to guess. If you're having the same thoughts, I don't know where to go next, what to do next, how to change something, I do want to change something in a healthy way, no clue how to do it, then keep a little log of your food intake. I use MyFitnessPal. I think this is the easiest one, and then see where you are at. And if you really are maybe like critically low, 1200, 1300 or so, and especially if you are less than your BMR, we're going to talk about that soon. If you're lower than your BMR, then you probably, definitely have to bring your calories back up, because no body change is going to happen from there. And like I said, some people find the exact opposite. They find that they have been severely like overeating. And then for some people, their calories might be actually pretty good, but their protein is really low. And even just this one thing, getting the protein high, will give you a lot of benefits, and you're going to see your physique change just when you get that right. This would be my first tip for you. Just stop trying to guess your way to your destination. It is good to kind of find your directions, and then you know how to do it and where to go. Okay, so the second part of today's podcast is going to be the terms like BMI, BMR, TDEE, and so on. So what do those things actually mean? Let's get started with the BMR. So BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. And this is approximately the amount of energy that your body uses every single day without adding in the exercise and your daily movement. So basically, when you're just resting all day, maybe you're lying on a couch or reading a book or surfing the web, whatever you're doing, your body is still burning calories. So this is the amount of calories that your body is burning. And you can calculate that. There are calculators online. You will have to put in your weight and your height and your age, and then the calculator will calculate this number for you. Of course, this number is never 100% accurate. Like all these numbers that I'm telling you next, they're never 100% accurate, but they give us a really good idea of how much our bodies are using and then burning. Okay, so this is BMR. So one of the biggest problems we see is that women, in order to lose weight, they start doing crazy things, such as eating less than what their BMR is. So let's say that my BMR is 1500 calories. And if I start eating like 1400 or even less than that, or even 1500, then it's almost guaranteed that my body is going to fight. Okay, so initially I may lose some weight, I may lose some fat, but then everything's going to slow down. Metabolism is going to slow down. I'm going to develop a bunch of issues, period issues, and then hair loss and cold body temperature, extreme fatigue, not being excited about anything, just super tired all the time. This is because we try to eat less than our BMR. And this is never a good idea. We should never eat less than our BMR, because BMR is the bare minimum that our bodies need ever. And the fact is that we never sit down all day or lie down all day and do nothing. Most days we do a lot of other things. We walk and we shop and we, exercise and we play with our kids and we do the dishes and all that. All this is extra movement that is on top of our BMR. So BMR is really the bare minimum. So the next thing we're going to talk about is BMI. So that's your body mass index. BMI is kind of like, it's a funny thing because it's supposedly, and I'm using air quotes, kind of show you whether you're normal weight, whether you're underweight, whether you're overweight. But the truth is that a lot of times it gives you a totally wrong idea. But I just wanted to mention BMI here too, just so that you understand that this is a number that we really shouldn't trust as much as we do. So a lot of times people think, okay, I think the range is like between 18.5 and then 24.9. This is the, so to speak, like normal range or healthy range. But this is not always the case. So just to give you an example, when I was really, really burnt out, I didn't have a period and I was really fatigued and all that, my BMI was 22.1, which is in the middle of this perfect or healthy range. But I was not healthy. I was really not healthy because my hormones were flat. They were not functioning. I had all these problems that I just told you. So for me to get healthy, I had to gain weight. I had to intentionally put on weight to get my period back and start feeling better. And once I did that, my BMI was now 24.5, which is kind of really high, on the really high end of the, air quotes again, normal range, okay? But I was healthier. So I gained weight, my BMI went higher, I was almost overweight, and I was healthier. So don't take this number too seriously. Also, sometimes women say, no, I'm not underweight, everything's fine, I'm perfect. Like my BMI is 18.5, which is the lower end of the, so to speak, normal range, right? So if we are in the lower end and we think, oh, I'm fine, then you may not be fine. Because a lot of times women have all sorts of issues, even though their BMI is quote unquote normal. Okay, so it's not a guarantee that if you fit in this normal range, which is 18.5 to 24.9, that now you're all kinds of healthy, right? There's never anything wrong with you. There's not a guarantee for that. Also, don't think that if you like achieve a certain BMI that now you're necessarily like cool and healthy and don't have to do anything anymore because everything's perfect. No, it's not true. So just be really, really aware of that. Also, I want to give you one example. So if you've ever seen my husband on Instagram, in Instagram stories or anywhere, then you know that he's a really skinny guy. He just doesn't naturally put on weight easily. He stays skinny with no effort really. He eats totally normally. We put in his height and his weight and comes out that his BMI is overweight. So this guy's overweight. When you see him, you'll probably say that this guy is, if anything, he's a little underweight. He's really tall, he's really skinny, and you would never tell that he's overweight, but the BMI tells that he is overweight. So I want you to be just careful when you use that as a marker. Like, am I healthy? Am I unhealthy? Of course, if the BMI is super high, right? If it's like way higher, way outside of the normal range, then yes, there's probably maybe reason to worry about it. But if it's like around that 25 or 26 or 27, which is quote unquote overweight, then don't take it super seriously. And also think about athletes, for example. They have really high muscle mass, right? They have a lot of muscle on the body, so way more than average person, which of course bumps up their body weight. So now when they get on the scale and they put into this calculator their weight and height and to calculate the BMI, they probably get numbers like 26, 27, maybe 7, maybe 28 even, which will then put them in the overweight category. But they are some of the strongest and healthiest and fittest people. So once again, be really aware of that. Don't use BMI as a way to determine the status of your health or anything like that. All right, the next is TDEE, okay? TDEE, and that stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. Okay, so real quick, let's go back to BMR. So BMR was your basal metabolic rate. Like we said, this is the number of calories that you burn at rest. Now, TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is your BMR plus then whatever you burn via exercise and via movement, via all the things that you do throughout the day. So this number is useful to know if your goal is to change something about your body. If you want to maybe gain some mass or muscle mass, sometimes you need to gain fat mass too. Or if you want to lose some body fat, then it's important to know our total daily energy expenditure. And then we either, depending on your goal, we either add a little bit to it, or then we take something away from it. So if we create a little bit of deficit, then we're going to lose weight. If we add a little bit of plus, then we're going to gain weight. So this number is important to know. There are ways to calculate it. Basically, like I said, it's your BMR plus then your daily movement exercise. But if you work with a coach, there are specific formulas that your coach will use to really accurately, as accurate as possible, determine your TDEE. And like I said, it's important because this is how we know how much to cut or how much to add on to this number. All right, next two words are caloric deficit and then caloric surplus. And then finally, we're going to talk about maintenance. So caloric deficit is when we take a small percentage of your total daily energy expenditure to create a caloric deficit. So it means that we're going to eat a little bit less than what we burn via BMR plus our daily activities, okay? So we have to create a caloric deficit if the goal is to lose some weight and some body weight. Now, caloric surplus is the opposite of that. And caloric surplus might be needed for several reasons. Maybe we want to put on more muscle. Maybe we need to put on some body fat, maybe both. You may be wondering, why would anyone want to put on more body fat? Well, because maybe you have burnt yourself out so badly, like I was in the past, and many people that I've coached in the past, that they just need to put some body fat on, otherwise their hormones don't start functioning. Their hormones are just flat, they don't have their periods, they feel like crap, they have really irregular periods, all kinds of symptoms. And this may be because the body fat percentage is too low. So that's why you may need a surplus. And so when you are in a surplus, then you will gain a little bit of both. You will gain a little bit of fat and you will gain a little bit of muscle. Now, if your goal while you're doing surplus is to put on a lot of muscle, then there's two things we have to pay attention to, and they are lifting heavy weights and then eating a high protein diet. And this is the way to build muscle, give body this new level of strength, and to just help to build up the lean muscle tissue. Because if you only eat more and you don't exercise, then you're going to definitely gain a little bit more body fat than you want to. But to gain more lean body mass, we have to exercise, we have to lift heavy weights, no cardio. I mean, not like never cardio, but definitely more lifting, and then high protein diet. And this is how you put on a decent amount of muscle. And lastly, let's talk about maintenance. So maintenance is basically the same thing as your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. So if we eat our total daily energy expenditure worth of calories, then we stay in maintenance. So it means that we don't lose and we don't gain. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of fluctuations. The human body is not like a math task or just like plain calculation, but it gives us a really, really good idea how much we should be eating if we want to maintain our weight. So if we now eat the same amounts that we burn every day, then we probably stay in a caloric maintenance. And coming back to deficit one more time, here's the problem with deficit. Most women stay in a deficit way too long, whereas we should actually stay in maintenance most of our lives, right? So what I see a lot is women, they just cut their calories really, really low. They stay in a deficit for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years, right? For a really, really long time, and not taking any breaks. Not taking any breaks to stay in maintenance, not ever being in surplus, but only cutting and cutting and cutting and staying in a deficit. And this is a big problem for all the same reasons that I've mentioned throughout this podcast. Our metabolism is going to down regulate. So if you are in a deficit, let's say that your maintenance level is about 2000 and you stay in a deficit that's about 1500 calories a day, and you do it for years, that's going to create a 1500 calorie metabolism, which is slow, and it doesn't help you to put on muscle. It doesn't speed up your metabolism. It doesn't help you to feel good. It doesn't allow you to thrive. You're just feeling constantly tired, hungry, fatigued. Your periods are off. Your sex drive is off. Your skin might be horrible. Your skin might be really dry. Your nails might be really dry. This all happens because we stay in deficit for far too long, and this is a big problem. So what you want to do instead is that if you have a weight loss goal, then you go into deficit for a period of time, and then after that you come out of it and you eat at maintenance, and then after a little while you may be able to go in a deficit again, and at one point you're going to do a surplus. So it's like a cycling. It's cycling, and then eventually, of course, you're going to stay in maintenance for most of your life. But my main message here is that you shouldn't be going into a deficit and staying there for years and years and years and years. Okay. All right. These are my thoughts today. Once again, if you want to get started, if you want to know what's going on in your body, which way you should be going, if your goal is to weight loss or weight gain, muscle gain, body fat loss, anything like that, then the best thing to get started with is to track your calories for a little while, track your macronutrients for a little while, use MyFitnessPal, learn how to use it. It's actually not that hard, and you see where you are at, and from there you can start making the changes. So this is all I have for you today. If you don't have my Fit Physique guide yet, make sure you have it. And thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you again next time. Bye bye.